Good morning. We are ready to start. First, some logistics about the speaking style. Today will be shorter, like half an hour. It's why I'm trying to, or I'm asking the next speaker somehow to settle in this area. There is a microphone waiting for the next speaker. So we should be prepared with the microphone, and when the time is coming, they can use their own laptop. If you don't if you are a speaker and you don't have your own laptop, we have all kinds of adapters, so that shouldn't be a problem. But if you don't have a laptop to use, we can use another computer. Approach me, and we'll get the presentation on a USB stick or so, and you can present it from my computer or some other computer. There is one also from the conference system here. So next will be Henning, which I don't see yet, but probably will arrive shortly. And after that, the idea is that we don't lose that much time between the speakers, because we also want to have present questions and moving fast with the presentation. Otherwise, let's start the day. Thank you everyone for coming and waking up early. Some of you, I guess, had a bit of a party last evening, as I understood from some tweet feed and so on. Yeah, unusual. I'm starting again thanking to all our speakers. They help us again to bring all the nice presentation and topics on stage here, covering some of the costs for the people presenting here. So we have new sponsors this year, like EvoSIM, NetAxis, and 2600 Hertz. And our very good friends and community contributors, SIPWise, SIPGate. I think these were all of the editions sponsored along, sponsoring us at all our edition, along with CMUD. We got, again, PASCOM, so if you need to chat outside, you can watch the very good live stream, even from our, let's say, eating area outside and expo area. But then very good friends from Digium, Evariste System with Alex Balashov. They are kind to support our event pretty much every year. NG Voice was one of the sponsors at all edition, as far as I can remember. LOD with Fred and Yeni are here, and they have also very nice cookies. We should put them outside, and you get the chance to test them with the Kamailio logo on them, so you get a bit more knowledge after having such a cookie. VUC, Kazucon, and then the partners from Cornetor Dynamics should be around also if you want to go into the EPC, so lower beyond the voice over LTE. And I'm finishing with our guest and partner, the Fraunhofer Institute. Is the one where it's a research institute where actually this project started a long time ago, 2001, being released open source in 2002. The name at that moment was SIP Express Router. Over the time, we ended up with Kamailio. If you want to learn a bit more, you can approach me about the entire history. And actually, these premises are part of the Fraunhofer Forum Berlin, Fraunhofer Focus. We did a trip like 2 years ago to the institute, but it's in Charlottenburg, so a bit like maybe 5-7 kilometers out there. However, this is a nicer location, and we are happy to be hosted by Fraunhofer Forum Berlin. And I'm representing ASIPTO along with my colleague Ramona, which should be soon in the premises. Had to fix some other issues in the morning. Usually with such events, unexpected happens always. Yesterday we had workshops, which is a bit more like dynamic, longer session, more interactive. Again, today we're gonna have more like a fast pace sessions, half an hour, including the speaking and the question and eventually 1-2 minutes for switching the speakers. We'll have a coffee break, so in the morning there should, hopefully you got the chance to get some coffee along with some sweets to start up. Then we'll have some coffee break and a proper lunch with food for everyone, so you don't need to leave premises for the lunch. Then again, presentation, another coffee break, and we end up today in the same area. So if you are first time, you don't need to leave even for evening unless you want to go quickly to the hotel. There will be some beer, wine, some finger food, sandwiches around to have a social networking event so we can chat more between us and socialize. Tomorrow, more or less the same structure, but we end up without any party around 6 p.m. eventually, a bit earlier depending how late we go. If you see some, let's say, signs or so, be aware that Spectrum, it's this room. Atrium, it's the big hall outside with the tables and the expo area, and then Dome would be where the food is actually located. So if someone is saying go there, or you should be aware of these names. There will be a couple of interactive sessions, and I'm going to present them because you might need to prepare yourself as well. Yesterday we had it already, this Ask Me Anything, which went pretty well. Thanks for the suggestion in the past. Everyone had a good feeling about how it went yesterday, and thanks to Victor for taking the lead of joining the organizing of it. Today, at the end of the day, we'll have Randy here in the first row that is going to have a very interesting panel this time, kind of a surprise for everyone, but it's going to be very interesting. Maybe he will approach some of you during the day chatting, but I'm glad we could get Randy again here. I think he was at all the edition. You might know him from the VoIP user conference every Friday in the afternoon, a bit late afternoon for European time, but you can jump into that conference call every week and chat with other guys about not only voice over IP, but any kind of real-time communication and where our world goes these days. And tomorrow, James Buddy is back with the very entertaining session of Dangerous Demo. It's where you need to plug in, and as we prepare with the next speaker, I'll give the chance to James to present again what you are expected to do and what you can get after getting to this or joining to compete in the Dangerous Demos. Wi-Fi, sometimes there are people complaining to get a bit of to get the access. If it's still the case, yesterday nobody had an issue, but contact us. For the password, there are some flyers in the back. You need to read and use that password, and all should be good. If you have issues, let us know and we'll try to fix it. As usual, I'm trying to highlight the issue with the VAT. Part of the registration fee, we have to charge the German VAT. This is European Union regulation. It's the money that we get, but we have to pay to German tax authority, and you are entitled to take it away even if you are not German citizen. For European Union countries, it's easier. You will have to apply in your country, and you get it like at the end of the semester or so, so it's like twice per year. With the countries outside of European Union, as far as I understood, is more like some paper-related procedure. So maybe you can ask at the airport, and if you still need something from us, so we are glad to do it, because again, it's something that we will have to, we already paid if you did the registration before this month, and it's something you can claim back. But again, the exact procedure for people outside of European Union, I don't know exactly. It's more like per country, if the country has an agreement with the European Union, so you will have to check this. Social networking, if you want to spread the word about Kamailio word, we have some hashtag that we recommend. You can use it. We have Twitter accounts, Kamailio word, which is for the event, and highlighted yesterday, but we are happy to announce, if you are not already aware, that we have Kamailio as a handle for the project. Used to be Kamailio project, but luckily with some interaction with the Twitter support, we were assigned this one. Also some Facebook. Ole used to take care of some of these accounts, and if you want to get more engaged, like helping with promoting on these channels, please approach Ole. Google Plus, I think it's actually Fred, and LinkedIn, it's more or less like me. We have a group there. Maybe not much activity, but if you want to join there and eventually help with promoting on this channel, you are welcome. To finish with this promotion kind of, let's say, information, the link to the live stream from the great guys at Pascom, very good video processing teams, but they are actually SIP engineers, so you see the quality of the people in the room by watching this video. As I said, you can send it to your peers and so on if you want to let them watch your presentation or the event overall. So this would be like a generic presentation about the structure. We are going to be like a full room today, so it's good to use also the chairs in the middle. Still, probably some people will stay outside, but this is like maximum capacity of the room. We can't really fit more. We need some space for evacuation in case of emergency. So we need kind of use all the space, as we have a lot of registration, more or less full booked like last year. I have a couple of minutes that I want to present what we did last year as a project shortly. There are different new feature or enhancements. So practically, we released the latest stable version in the last December, what's 5.1. It's, if I'm not wrong, around the 20 or so major release that we have with Kamailio, and as usual, we still maintain the previous release branch. So now if you are using 5.0 or 5.1, you are in maintain release series. Everything older is out of official maintenance. Of course, some companies are still using, some developers are also pushing patches there, but we don't put efforts in packaging and doing a new release. So that's what we consider out of official maintenance. We don't have the resources to maintain older versions. Quite a lot of modules in the last year, so it's more like previous year and up to today. These ones up to those 3 stars are part of 5.1. So what was new module in 5.1, like ACC diameter, which was split from the old ACC to highlight it. For Kemi, the SQ Lang app, this is the Squirrel interpreter. I had an workshop yesterday. If you didn't get the chance to attend it, you can watch the recording in a few days. But also like support for using Redis for Topos modules, SIP dumping, which could be useful for troubleshooting TLS. And with the upcoming release 5.2, we already have like 4 new modules, including DB Redis. Will be a talk approaching that topic by Andreas in a couple of minutes, half an hour, and so on. So a lot of new modules from this point of view, but also a lot of enhancements to other existing modules. A lot of exports to this Kamailio embedded interface. So now, as I said it yesterday, it's pretty much, I'm sure it's above 90% of function available in a native config file are available via Kemi interface, so you can use it if you build a routing logic in this JavaScript, Python, or Squirrel language. and Lua, of course. Some of the modules are still not exported, and I put here mainly DMS and diameter modules. I haven't got the time to look at them. They usually don't export many functions to the config file, but still some of them. This is like a group which I haven't really approached it from this point of view. Julian spoke yesterday about this latency statistics, which is something useful to watch on your load balancing group of addresses. Some improvements to SIP capture, like supporting TLS and also forwarding SIP capture or HEP3 packets, which was actually there. I just aliased it to be a bit more highlighted. But we had this send function that you could send any packet Kamailio was received without touching it at all. And I have actually the next slide about this transparent SIP proxy, which is relying on that feature existing there, like probably more than 10 years or so. But I kind of added some helper function to make it a bit easier to use in the configuration file. Maybe you are also using RTP engine, and the guys at SIPwise did a lot of work with it, and probably I already started to discuss we may switch to it as the RTP relay inside the default config file, because they have really nice feature, not only WebRTC support, but lately also transcoding. Andreas and a couple of other guys, 5 other guys from SIPwise are around here, so you can approach them. It's really one of the best applications that you can use together with Kamailio. This transparent SIP proxy or Anycast, as I got some questions during the year from different people, and I told them that it's pretty much there. So we had this send function and a couple of variants, send data or send UDP, send TCP. This was like getting a pseudo variable. You could give the buffer, and then you can send it wherever you wanted. You could put there like URI address as the first parameter. So this HEP forward, it's a alias to send more or less, or like implementing the same approach, skipping the variable from where to take. Like you could give there MB to take the buffer or received buffer and send out. What I added as a helper function, which could be useful, are a bit of flexibility on setting source address and local socket address. So you can change now as you want. Like if you want to say the source address was that address instead of the real source address, there is no issue. So we had the function internally because we got the value from the socket and we put it there in our structure. Now it was just taking it from a parameter. So all this is, if you look at the commits, are really small wrappers around the existing C function. And one that could be useful not only for this one is adding some extra parameters to the via header, because then you kind of have a context ID that you can pass through the request when you're forwarding, and you get it with the reply. And one could be like the server ID, which I added a dedicated function for it. So let's say if you do Anycast, it's coming to this request because it's closer to the calling. The request comes here, you forward it, and then the reply, because of the Anycast, can come to another node. But as you add the server ID in the via, you see in this node, okay, the server ID is not my local server ID, and you can just use send to that server. And in that server, it's setting the source IP local socket as you want. So you get this. I use it for like a transparent proxy where I didn't want to consume via, or I didn't want to add a via by myself, so just dispatching. You get the packet here, and then I pass it to another load balancer, which was doing dispatcher. So now it's, and in the dispatcher, you set the source IP and things like that. So this is, again, most of the functions are there. Some of them I expose it now through some helper functions to make it easier to deal with. And one, it's actually a new variable that can help you, and it's useful also for debugging. This one, MBU, $MB was the receive buffer, and $MBU is like transform buffer with extra headers that you want to add or so you can do an append header, and then you see in MBU will be printed that header inside the log message, but the MB is not changing. So it's not like MSG apply changes, if you know that. It's just like looking at it. There was a function, I think, from Lucian or someone from 1&1 added like printing it to the log for debugging from the debugger module, but this is just giving it, and you can print it or you can give it as a parameter to some other function. So here is like, you can even add headers, so via and so are not touched, but you send it using send data, and you send the one that you wanted after applying the changes without really applying the changes. So this, it's more like about the coding, what happened in Kamailio ecosystem, couple of changes around the organization. We got Marcus, which is here, replacing another Marcus from Seagate in our management team, as Marcus Hunger is no longer really involved in Kamailio. He's still there, but working on another team. And we had this Kamailio admin team, which is supposed to do the daily operation of Kamailio project. We are like 14 people there. We start moving, building like a security-oriented team, packaging, release team, and so on. And yeah, we got the Twitter handle already mentioned. Yesterday we had Giacomo speaking about this Kamailio unit testing framework or functional testing framework. It was a discussion yesterday how to name it, so it's still open. But look at the presentation if you haven't seen it yesterday, because it's something that you can help the project, and it can help you also for testing your deployment. What would be next in terms of Kamailio from my point of view? So I haven't identified any really major features, so you can propose it like, oh, we don't have support for that, so it's something critical like specification or very popular system out there that we need to integrate with. But still, there will be always a lot of new and interesting stuff to add. Of course, I expect a lot of polishing, and based on the interest on the community, all this distributed message queue was a large discussion together with Alex Balashov and other guys recently. NoSQL-based data replication, more or less what Andreas did, relying now on like Redis for everything, on including location, presence, IMS. This is always like a moving target, so we need to work there. The next release likely to be in the autumn or early winter this year, and yeah, efforts on continuous integration to, formalize a procedure on, again, testing after commits or packaging during the night and so on. This is something that it's useful to add. And yeah, we need to see how we integrate the existing documentation of the functions that we export to the config file with what we generate as documentation for the Kemi exports. Because the documentation is there, slightly different. I had a workshop yesterday about some aspects that needs to be taken care when you use one or another, like native config file or a Kemi scripting. In the ecosystem, we hope to get this admin team moving fast forward, and there is some planned work to the infrastructure because we have our servers installed quite a long time ago. We need to reevaluate a bit. You will meet many of us at the different events worldwide, as the usual AstriCon and ClueCon. FOSDEM probably will be again a big team like this year. We had also our usual VoIP dinner with about 30 people and so on. And we have Tori here from Voxbone that was kind to sponsor us at the FOSDEM. And yes, we are, of course, planning for the next Kamailio Award in the next year. I'm getting close to finish this. I just want to remember, these are every year. If you are a consultant, please get listed to our business directory. Of course, if you are a company selling products based on Kamailio, so like you build a PBX system and you sell it, then you can get listed here and get very good visibility. If you are a company like a telephony provider, so operating, not selling Kamailio, but still using Kamailio, you can still get listed on another directory we have on our web page. So it's good couple of unique, several thousand of unique visitors get there every day. And again, first one is if you sell something or you want to get hired by offering Kamailio consultancy or something related to Kamailio, you can get listed. And here, only if you operate and you are like a telephony operator, you can still get listed. People were asking, and I wanted to highlight it, probably the next release of the book will be for 5.2 as we get the KMI stabilized. So probably by end of the year, we'll also have a new version of our ebook because it's not printed yet. We'll review the options and maybe we'll get also a printed version. By now, it's only an ebook there. So this is it. Thank you, and Henning should come here and prepare. You have the microphone. I'm taking 1 or 2 questions if you have about future of Kamailio or the new feature of, or about the event itself until Henning prepares. Disappeared? I scared him. Henning? Ah, okay. Okay, a question or 2, anyone? No? Everything clear with the event? Many people are returning, so feel free to ask them also about the logistics. The next guy to you might already know where everything is located. Otherwise, again, thank you for coming. It's really a pleasure to see everyone here and having again a full room, and hope to see many of you at other events and of course hopefully at the next Kamailio World. Enjoy the day, and again make contacts, connection, and discuss with the other guys. Everyone here is an expert in some field, so as you notice, we are not really like commercial and people just trying to sell you. People look for expertise, but they are also willing to share how they did stuff, where they got stuck, and so on. It's really, I'm learning a lot with a lot of people discussing here. It's why I organize it, otherwise it makes no sense for me. Thank you.